The sound of a BMW getting obliterated by a steel gate. It echoed through the valley that morning, and let me tell you, Karen finally met something she never expected. Look, I've been building homes for other folks my whole life, working 30 years in the dirt and the Texas heat, dreaming of peace and quiet when I retired. I just wanted a porch, some pasture, coffee at sunrise, maybe a few lazy cattle wandering the fence line. Nothing complicated. But if you've ever tangled with a homeowners association, you know peace doesn't last long, especially with someone like Karen Morrison in charge. She showed up on day one, perfectly dressed, hair not a single strand out of place, rolling up in a BMW that probably cost more than the first house I ever built. Introduced herself as the Pine Hollow HOA president, gave me that plastic smile politicians wear when they're about to ruin your day, complimented my hand-built gate, and then, swear to God, drove straight through it like she was testing crash ratings. Cedar splinters everywhere, hinges bent sideways, my coffee still warm in my hand, and I'm watching this woman's taillights vanish down my own driveway, like she owned the place. You know what I mean? Yeah, that happened. When I called the sheriff, he just sighed. Said Karen had connections. Maybe try legal channels, he suggested, like I should send a Hallmark card to my gate's remains. But word travels fast in a town like this, faster than bad news after Sunday service. Before I even finished fixing the thing, a slick lawyer named David Hartwell showed up, suit sharp enough to slice bread, talking about property protections and boundary rights. Claimed he could end my Karen problem for good. The paperwork was thick with legalese, easements, access, development protocols, the sort of stuff meant to make you feel safe, but really just makes your eyes glaze over. So, I signed, hoping maybe, just maybe, I'd get to drink my coffee in peace again. That night, my buddy Rick called, voice tight. You know that lawyer's been sitting with Karen at HOA meetings, right? Whispering in her ear. Something about this feels off. Turns out, Karen had been asking around about my property for weeks before she ever put bumper to gate. Boundaries, access roads, how long I'd owned the place. It wasn't some random outburst. It was planned, calculated. And the next week, it got personal. Every morning, 7:45 on the dot, here came Karen, her BMW crunching over my repairs. Every day the gate went down. No matter how strong I built it, she found a way to break it. Then came the HOA inspection team, clipboard carriers snapping photos, measuring like they were prepping for a county crime scene. She was turning my defensive repairs into evidence, building some kind of twisted case. I just wanted quiet mornings. Instead, I got German engineering versus Texas lumber and an HOA president hellbent on claiming my land. Rick, poor guy, got sucked in helping me rebuild. 2 years back, Karen had saved him from a nasty HOA fine over his chickens. Now, she'd collected him like another pawn, another neighbor in her web, owing her favors and afraid to step out of line. Enter Martha Stevens, a property rights attorney who looked at Karen's inspections and just shook her head. This isn't just you, she said. Karen's filed 17 claims like this in 3 years, all the same pattern. Boundary disputes, access rights, escalate, force a sale, or surrender. Martha saw the playbook. Start small, build pressure, make the paperwork look legit while being just vague enough to justify anything. By day 10, Karen had surveyors on my land, talking about community gardens, walking trails, and shared amenities. She talked like she already owned it, gesturing with a clipboard army behind her. Her message was honey sweet, cooperate, and everyone wins. Resist, and well, asked the Hendersons. You ever had someone threaten you with a smile, telling you it's all for your own good? Rick dug into the Henderson story for me. It's worse than you think, he said. 3 weeks before they sold, someone cut their water line in the night. Septic tank overflowed next. The week before they gave up, their barn caught fire. The fire marshal who called it an accident, Karen's brother-in-law. The Hendersons didn't just sell. They fled. By now, Karen wasn't just a nuisance, she was running a racket. And I'd signed paperwork that, thanks to David the double-dealing lawyer, actually weakened my rights. Martha found the trap. Those documents let Karen file bogus easement claims and allowed nearly any intrusion on my land. David had played both sides, taking my money to protect me while helping Karen build her case. Day 15, I got my first official violation notice. My building's non-compliant. My barn aesthetic hazard. $50 a day in fines. The paperwork was all Pine Hollow Community Development Board, official-looking legal codes, except, when I checked, the board had been formed a decade after I bought my property. None of it was real. Karen's claims had zero authority over my land. When Martha laid it all out, fake boards, fraudulent claims, a network of harassment, it hit me just how big this was. Karen and David had been running the same scam in 3 counties, targeting families with land worth millions, profiting off forced sales, then flipping properties to developers like her own shell company, Sunrise Development Corporation. She even scheduled my house for demolition, permits and all, while telling the community it was progress. Conventional legal action would take too long, and Karen was moving fast. But she'd forgotten one thing. I spent 30 years in construction, and I had a barn full of steel I-beams just waiting to become something special. Rick and I spent 4 nights building a gate that looked like humble cedar, but hid 2 inches of steel plate. Solid concrete posts, heavy-duty hinges. 20 feet before the gate, we dug a fake pit trap, obvious enough to scare off anyone paying attention. The trick was, Karen would spot the fake, swerve around it, and hit the weak, wooden gate full speed, never knowing it was armored like a bank vault. Sure enough, she called ahead, bringing investors, community leaders, a big celebration, she crowed. Don't worry about your little gate. I've got something big enough to handle it. Saturday morning, here she comes in a monster pickup with a steel brush guard, a convoy behind her like it's a parade. She narrates her own victory for the crowd. Some folks just don't understand progress, but we do, don't we? Investors nodding, neighbors cheering. She saw the fake pit, swerved with a smirk, then punched it, right into the hidden steel. The crash echoed, the truck's brush guard folded like a soda can, engine block smoking, coolant spraying all over her designer outfit. Karen staggered out, stunned, as 15 cameras recorded her humiliation, every second of it. I just sat on the porch, sipping coffee. Karen, that pit was misdirection. Welcome to real engineering. The look on her face, shock turning to rage, then panic, was worth every splinter and sleepless night. And that's when Martha stepped out with county investigators and a fat evidence folder. She laid out Karen's whole operation for the cameras: fraud, harassment, property theft across multiple counties, over 40 families, millions in damages, all built on fake authority and phony paperwork. Arrest warrants served right there, Karen's own parade watching her get cuffed beside her wrecked Victory truck. The neighbors who'd called me stubborn now lined up to apologize. Some had stories about being pressured, or about old friends who'd vanished after Karen made life impossible. That morning, I was no longer the guy blocking progress. I was the guy who stood his ground and stopped a scam that had ruined lives all over the county. 6 months later, every fraudulent sale reversed, families moved back, fines refunded, Karen's shell company dissolved. David lost his law license. And the fund I started, built from settlement money, helps other folks get real legal help before an HOA president tries something like this again. So, if you're ever up against someone waving fake authority in your face, remember, boundaries are more than just lines on a map. They're worth defending, even when everyone else calls you crazy for standing alone. Sometimes, the right kind of stubborn saves an entire community. If you've ever tangled with someone like Karen, or got stories about HOA nightmares or fake authority, let me know in the comments. Who was right? Who went too far? Where's the line between progress and property rights? I'd love to hear your take. And hey, if you stuck around for this ride, thanks for listening. Hit that like, share your story, and I'll see you next time. Hopefully with less crashing steel and a whole lot more peace and quiet.